The long-lost 8th episode from Season 1 is finally out for public viewing. A Helluva Boss episode mostly focused on Loona has been a long time coming, let me tell you. Although it didn't delve as deep into her character on the same level as X's and O's explored Moxie, it's still better than nothing. More than another certain character has gotten, that's for sure. Please try to not take that joke too seriously. For what we got, I think it worked very well. The events of this episode actually taking place the same night that incident at Ozzy's happened. Loona at the party that Tex invited her to, briefly shown in text exchange between her and Blitz in the Ozzy's episode. A party filled mostly to the brim with other hellhounds, but a few imps sprinkled in there. From the get-go, we learned that Loona is clearly out of her comfort zone at this party. It felt like she just agreed to come as a nice gesture to Tex, who she clearly has feelings for, but he's got a girlfriend, so she attempts to play it cool and mingle, which actually makes things even worse for her because she tries to chime into an ongoing conversation between other hellhounds who just end up belittling her because the last party Loona was at with that group, she got drunk and puked. So Loona proceeds to call this other hound a bitch so loudly that the rest of the party hears her, creating an even more uncomfortable situation because Loona tries to get the crowd on her side and they just don't agree. All these scenes did an incredible job at showing someone who is completely out of their comfort zone in a big social situation. The only person she's actually friendly with isn't going to be by her side the whole night since he knows more people there and has a girlfriend hosting the entire party, and he has every right to do that. It's realistically not his obligation to be attached to Loona's hip the whole night when he's got other people he'd like to chill with. The times he was around her though, he did try to help make the experience as enjoyable as possible for her, so I appreciate that. It's just easier said than done on Loona's end, you know? I'm sure many of us out there have been in situations like this where you're in a big social setting and just feel super out of your element because the people in said setting aren't folks you normally talk to or even know on a first name basis. I'm not afraid to say I've been in situations like that before, and it kind of sucks. So I don't mean to be that one guy who's like, oh my god, this character is me as hell in this instance, but I totally understand where Loona's coming from here. As for Tex's girlfriend, B, I really liked her a lot. B being voiced by Kesha of all people was a very nice surprise, and she sounded like she was having a lot of fun voicing this character and singing that Cotton Candy song. It was very catchy. Honestly, when I first saw her, I thought the relationship between her and Loona was going to be like Blitz and Fizz, where they might have some kind of like secret past together based on the way Loona was looking at her initially, but that didn't end up being the case, and I'm kind of glad it wasn't. And I wouldn't be surprised if the reason this episode was delayed for so long was because Kesha was going through some unfortunate legal issues with her record contract, which was apparently settled 2 days ago, so Spindle really wasted no time to get this episode out after all that was settled. I respect that. B was surprisingly cool around Loona too, and just the rest of the guests in general. She's a total party animal, but wants to make sure her guests are having as much fun as possible. Like, even when Loona got super defensive when they first met, B didn't retaliate with any smack talk back. She just kept the positive vibes going. After the whole ordeal is finished, the situation becomes too much for Loona to handle, so she just wants to get out of there as soon as possible, crying a bit on the way out while calling for Blitz to pick her up. Blitz, of course, still a bit of a mess, eating a bunch of ice cream, but he doesn't hesitate to spring into action to pick his daughter up. I won't lie, I can see why Loona suddenly changing her mind to go back to the party can feel a bit abrupt, even with that one hound calling her hot. Personally, I just chalked it up to it being a mixture of that gesture and Blitz potentially going into the party with her, now having that sense of comfort of her adopted dad being in there so she'd feel less alone. Blitz does agree to go in and ends up using this party as an excuse to drink his sorrows away, chugging an entire keg of Beetlejuice and almost hooking up with some random imp named Dennis. He's obviously doing this as a form of unhealthy coping to what occurred at Ozzy's. It's so obvious to the point even Tex and B are able to pick up on this vibe and just straight up say it to Loona. So they want Loona to check in on him and make sure everything is okay and doesn't get even worse. This was another good scene to show just how chill Tex and especially B are as people. Sometimes depending on how out of control a person can get at a party, a host could confront said person themselves and have to, physically throw them out or something if they're too out of control. But B went to Loona calmly to suggest she handle him gently rather than roughly. And man, I really liked her character a lot. I really did. It's a shame we're probably not going to get to see much of her again, if at all, from here on out, unless they decide on just recasting her down the line like they did with Stryker. I'm sure having someone like Kesha to voice a character on the show, even if it's just every now and then, is pretty damn expensive. Loona is eventually able to get him out of there though. It was nice to see some of those other hounds were there to see her off as she left. I'm glad she was able to enjoy herself at the party in the end, even if it was at the indirect expense of Blitz. The highlight of the episode for me was definitely the ending scenes at Blitz's house. Blitz getting very weepy about how Fizz was right about how he's just gonna die alone and be alone forever, or worried that Loona might also leave him, followed by a sweet moment of Loona calling him dad and saying she'll be there for him. Considering this episode takes place before the events of the Seeing Stars episode, it makes the conversation between Loona and Octavia hit a lot more. Loona Loona has definitely come out of her shell quite a bit since the beginning of the series, starting off as an extremely angsty person who showed little to no affection to anyone around her. And of course she still has those angsty moments, but they become a lot less frequent and seem to be saved almost exclusively for comedic relief scenes rather than serious moments. Like when she kicked Blitz in the nuts, or just the entire B-plot at the vet in Western Energy. Obviously, seeing more of Blitz's true colors is nice too, because he a lot of the time puts on a facade. Honestly, seeing any character like that, who usually isn't vulnerable, become vulnerable, I enjoy. Seeing this makes the text exchange between he and Stolas in Western Energy hit a lot more too, because obviously Blitz wants to get a hang of being in a committed relationship with someone, but he just doesn't know how or is too scared to do so. And based on the text between he and Stolas, where Blitz just gives a lot of one-word responses or just straight up leaves Stolas on red, he clearly has a lot of work to do and, you know, just didn't get magically better after this party night with Loona. I'm really hoping we get to dive more into Blitz's mindset about relationships whenever the episode with his sister Barbie Wire drops or the Fizz episode drops. Overall, I thought this episode was very solid. I enjoyed it a lot. It was one of the stronger, quote-unquote, Season 1 episodes. If I had to compare it to a Season 2 episode, I'd probably put it on the same level as Seeing Stars, which, to be clear, puts it above Western Energy. As much as I like Stryker, I can't deny that was one of the weaker episodes from the show as a whole. Unfortunate that this episode couldn't air in proper chronological order, but I'm glad it's actually out there rather than the worst case scenario of it never seeing the light of day because of all the legal copyright stuff or whatever. Once again, hoping we see more of Tex and maybe even be in the future, even if it's just small cameos. It'd be unfortunate for characters that good to just, you know, not have any more screen time. Well, that just about does it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't be a stranger to hitting that like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.